Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 21 of Jacked Up Being Frank. I'm your host, Jack Kaplanowitz, here with my co-host, Frank Aranio. And today, we're going to dig into March Madness. First time we have got to the Sweet 16, and we've finished up the round of 64 and round of 32. We had the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final Four, all getting ready to be. It's been a very good March Madness. We'll get into that, and then we'll get into our MLB predictions. 3 days till the MLB. 3 days, 2 days, 2 days till the NBA season starts, and can't wait. It's gonna be a very good season. We'll get into our predictions. So let's start with the March Madness.
Let's do it. I'm excited, Jack. I mean, this might be the biggest show of the year so far. I mean, we've had some others where there's a lot going on, your big things, but I mean, between March Madness and we're going to the Sweet 16 starting Thursday, recapping the first couple rounds, and then baseball starting and our predictions and our preview. I mean, this is exciting.
Yeah, it's me exciting. Yeah, you want to get into it?
Let's do it.
So Gonzaga beats Kennesaw State. Whatever. Houston killed Idaho, or dominated Idaho, whatever verb or adjective you want to use.
Yeah, a lot of these first round games, there's not
Yeah.
much to say.
Well, I don't want to save this for later, but I think I've accepted. I was thinking this on my way back home. I was just thinking about I accepted all the that we're not going to get a lot of upsets. But when we do, I'm going to have fun, and the games are going to be good. And the games have been good. I know the first few games, St. Louis kills Georgia. The higher seed is absolutely pummeling them. Illinois pummels UPenn. And then Texas East wins 79-71 against BYU. BYU was just...
Well, Jack, you want to run through these games through the bracket? So I'm not sure what you're following.
Yeah.
You want to follow the bracket? We start up in the East, so we go by region, just so there's that element.
So we're gonna start top in the East. Forget that even happened. So Duke Siena, this very good game. This is why I think we talked about how Duke is not that good. I mean, they're good. They're good. I mean, they're one seed good, but I think this year they haven't been. The team at the one seed and the Duke, the number one team, has not been as good as people think. I don't think they're a shoo-in. And I honestly
not at all. I mean, they're the number one overall seed.
And I think
they lost their point guard. They're a different team without their point guard, and they're not the best team in the nation. No. Obviously, they're one of the best. They're near the very top. But Arizona's better. Michigan's better. I mean, I guess it's tough to make a case that Florida's better because Florida got bounced. But I thought going into the tournament, Florida was better. And look, teams get picked off, but I don't want to be too critical of Duke, and they're really good, but they're not the best team in the tournament.
Yeah, they're not. And I'll see. I mean, we'll talk about the Duke St. John's game definitely a lot as we get later in the episode, but they could get picked off here in the East region, and we'll see. I don't think it's going to be Duke St. John, but that's besides the point. I think they can get picked off. I think there's a world where I obviously wouldn't be surprised if a one seed got to the Final Four, got to the national championship, and even won. I obviously wouldn't be surprised here if Duke won. I mean, no one would be.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
They're really a team where it's up in the air. It's a coin flip here. I think there's a bet more. It's not less. It's maybe not a coin flip, but there's more of a possibility they don't make it to the Final Four. That's a different question. But I think there's kind of a coin flip. I could see them not. I could be surprised they don't. I mean, they lost the round of 32. Obviously, I'd be a little surprised. But for now, I mean, if they lose, I wouldn't really be surprised. I mean, I'd acknowledge that they definitely got.
Well, I picked Michigan State to win the East. But if I had to bet everything I have, I would bet Duke to win the East. Like everything I have, everything I own, I'm putting it on Duke. But look, the best team, the favorite doesn't always win. And like you've been saying, like there's a legitimate chance that Duke loses in the East region, whether it's the St. John's in the Sweet 16 or the Michigan State or UConn in the Elite Eight. but they're still the favorite to
Yeah,
win the East region. I
yeah.
mean, they're a 6.5-point favorite. That was the opening. I'm not sure what it's at right now. 6.5 versus St. John's. I mean, that line, I mean, if I don't bet, but if I were betting, I would bet St. John's to cover 6.5. But again, Duke is the favorite in the East. They're not I
Yeah.
don't think they're a big favorite, but they're definitely the favorite in the East region.
So we'll get into that later. I don't know how we want to do this, but we'll get into Duke talk later. And
Well, I'll also say this, Jack, just look at the bracket. With Florida out, Duke's the favorite to get to the national championship from the left side of the bracket. So Florida's out. Houston's the 2 seed in Florida's region in the South. So say it's Duke and Houston in the Final Four, a rematch of last year. I mean, Houston would have a legitimate chance in the game, and it'd probably be a very close game. But I think Duke is a slight favorite in that matchup.
yeah.
But, Duke was
Obviously.
exposed against Siena. Like, that wasn't just, Duke taking them lightly. I mean, Siena
And also TCU, we'll get into that
Siena
later.
played 5 guys the whole game. And Siena legitimately could have won the game. Like, I never thought they would. It's just, okay, they're playing 5 guys. There's no way they're going to be able to close this thing. But, man, like, they actually came close to doing it. They were up 13, and they missed a bunny. You like that? I'm using the term bunny. They missed a bunny to go up 15. To me, they make that. They go up 15. I'm not saying I think they could win. I think Duke would still win. But, man, like, they missed it. Duke comes back the other way. I think scores right away. The Duke cut into the lead, kept cutting into it. Like, that was a big play in that game. So
do we want to get into the Duke TCU game? I have some thoughts on it. Or do you want to do that? Should we do that later?
let's go through the first round.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then we'll go to the second round.
Yeah.
I think that's best.
So Ohio State TCU won that by 2. It was a very good game. First game of March Madness. Very good. TCU won by 2. I mean, it was just a great game all around. I had the Horned Frogs winning, but it was just,
Yeah, I was at school teaching. I assume you were at school as well. So I didn't see any of that game because I think that you said the first game, that was the 12:15 tip on Thursday.
Yeah.
So TCU advanced there. And, I don't know. I guess I could throw – I don't know. Should we throw in our second round thoughts too? You got, Duke TCU.
Yeah.
TCU hung in there, but Duke was clearly the better team.
Well, Duke went the line. I think they won a lot of the game on the line. And I think they would have won no matter what, or no matter if the refs were this way, that way. It was a lot of calls that went Duke's way.
Duke always gets the whistle. I think that's a legitimate thing. It's not a conspiracy. They get the whistle.
And
look, they were the better team. They make their free throws, as you said.
Well, because they're all like they're that's why they're very good. I mean, if you put a team like that to the line, they're gonna hit free throws. I mean, that's kind of goes to the point of, like, they're not they would have won that game anyway, but I don't even know if they would, because they kind of pulled away, made the game look worse than it was. TCU was hanging around. That team is good. But yeah, I mean, Duke just, took over at the end.
Yeah, and TCU didn't make enough shots. And like you said, Duke from the line, they were really good. And I mean, that's a big plus for Duke. If you're picking Duke to go all the way or to go to the Final Four, or go to the championship game, I mean, the free throw shooting's huge. If they come up against teams that don't hit free throws, and Duke's going to win the game.
Yeah.
So then you keep going down. Like, St. John's just absolutely dominated Northern Iowa. I don't want to make too much of that game, being a 5-12. Northern Iowa was the 6th seed in the conference tournament. But St. John's, kind of made a statement that night. I mean, there were some people saying that would be a game. And, I mean, that was one of the most lopsided games of the first round. And it was a 5-12. It's not like it's a 1-16 or a 2-15.
Yeah.
It was a 5-12. So St. John's, put it all together that game. Kansas struggled a bit with Cal Baptist, but they won, and that set up the St. John's Kansas game on Sunday. St. John's survived it. I mean, they were in control of that game.
Man, take me home, white boy. He won it.
He had an awful game to that point. Only played 18 minutes, but Darling came up big. I mean, look, you have an awful game and then be able to do that at the end. That's all that mattered. I mean, it's survive in advance in the NCAA tournament. So it really doesn't matter how you win. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you don't want to give up the lead and have to go down to the wire and to the buzzer. And if that went overtime, you're not feeling good about it if you're St. John's. But
On
hey,
that, like,
they won the game, and that's really all that matters at the end of it in this single elimination tournament.
well, I think if we're looking, I think that'll go in the discussion about St. John's. Duke, they shot 31% from three. I don't know. I think that's a little below average. I think that is probably what they don't want to shoot. 11 for 35. Kansas was letting them shoot. I think.
Well, Hopkins was huge. He hit 6 of those
Yeah,
threes. St.
he had
John's
some,
didn't shoot well in the game, but Hopkins shooting 6 threes, which he normally doesn't. He may make a couple a game,
yeah.
but his performance was a huge difference. He
Yeah,
made
and
a three.
them only making 11 threes and I mean not them only them shooting 31 and KU didn't shoot that well either, but then KU kind of giving them the 3-point shots
Yeah, KU
and
was challenging him to shoot.
yeah,
And KU, their strategy was effective. It's just Hopkins hit 6. I mean, hey, he stepped up big and he made that enormous three when it was 62-61 with maybe a minute and a half to go and the
yeah,
momentum was at
stepped in there,
Kansas.
129 left, stepped in there with confidence. I mean, all these shots. Yeah, like that's my survive and advance kind of thing that we talk about, that theme of survive and advance. Like, all you need to do is one big night from Hopkins when he shoots 6 threes, which is not usually, and you could ask him to do that. All you need to do is survive this one game. We'll think about the next game. But yeah,
Yeah,
then
St. John's going to have to shoot better against Duke
yes,
to have a chance to win.
that's I'll get into the next kind of thing. Yeah. Um, can they sustain or can they sustain this? I mean, they can't sustain this to beat Duke because Duke's obvious. Kansas is a good basketball team. They played really well. They didn't play really well, but they kind of came back and they had a surge. They're a good basketball team. And it's not like St. John's beating nobodies, but they compared to Duke, yes, you're gonna have to shoot better.
Kansas is good, but Duke's a lot better than
Yes,
Kansas.
obviously, but so yeah. You want to go? We're gonna go to the east, back to the east again. Louisville, South Florida. Louisville gets the win by 4.
Yeah, you were high in South Florida. A lot of people were, but they got bounced first
Yeah,
round. Michigan State took care of business. It seemed like there were people high on UCF, but they got bounced at a close game to UCLA. And UConn struggled against Furman, but they won. And then UConn was pretty dominant against UCLA in the second round. UCLA was out without one of the best guys.
I thought UCLA was gonna win that, but I mean,
Well, with the injury, it made it really tough.
yeah.
But UConn took care of business in the second round, so I feel
UConn's
better
really good.
about UConn now
UConn's
than I
really
did
good.
going into the tournament or after the first round. But they have the matchup with Michigan State, which again I picked Michigan State, but that's going to be some game.
Yeah. I was actually at a little bit of the as I think I said I was at a little bit of the UConn Furman game, and then I was at the UCLA UCF game. So yeah, UCLA looked really good in that game. I thought UConn really floundered a little bit when they in the start of that game, but they really took care of business. Dan Hurley wouldn't lose like that, obviously. But
That's a late night in Philadelphia.
yeah, no, I mean I didn't stay for the whole game.
Oh, okay,
Just stay for a
that's
little
fun.
bit.
That's really fun being there.
Yeah. Yeah, also the big Terrence Reed dominated. He had like a very good game, 30 and like 20. So
Yeah, they needed that because the rest of the team really didn't step up in that game. But Reed stepping up. Hey, I mean, you need that. You need a performance like that. They win the game by 11. Not ideal. I mean, you like to win by more in a 2:15 game. But again, survive, advance. Wasn't really survival. I mean, they won the game. I guess you could say fairly comfortably. And in the second round, they stepped up and took care of UCLA. So then you go to the South region. I mean, Florida, my goodness, just crushed Prairie View A&M.
Yeah.
Iowa over Clemson. Vanderbilt over McNeese, who was a team that some people, or I guess a decent amount of people were calling
I
upset
went with
there.
Vandy because I really liked Vandy this year, but
I went with Vanderbilt too. Nebraska took care of Troy. Um, I had Nebraska on upset alert, but that was a terrible pick.
terrible. Me too, but that's terrible.
Well, that's what I get when I didn't, you don't know anything about the other team. You're just like, Nebraska, they've been struggling, but
Troy is terrible.
they blew them out.
But you also need to win. I think more when you're doing these upset teams, you actually need to pick a team that's like good. You can't just pick the upset because the team's reeling. I mean, it's a way to pick it, but like you're gonna have to pick. Troy was just not a good basketball team, and look, Nebraska was reeling, but that game set them up, man. That game um, set their got them going.
Yeah, and that Nebraska Vanderbilt game
Really good.
was a great one. One of the best of the tournament so far, no doubt about it. And Nebraska, they get to the Sweet 16. Give them credit. Look, they were struggling down the stretch, or they were 6-6 after starting the season, whatever it was, undefeated. I forget what it was, 21-0 or something. But give them credit. They're in the Sweet 16. They got the job done. And now they're the higher seed in their matchup. They play fellow Big Ten school, Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa upset Florida. I mean, that's the game of the tournament so far, right? I mean, for Iowa to upset Florida, it was a great game, back and forth
Big
down the
shot.
wire. And the
Big
defending
shot.
champs go out. I mean, I don't know how many people picked that. Probably very, very little. Probably only some Iowa fans. But hey, that just shows you the tournament. I mean, Florida's gone.
Big shot by Flora Garris. I think he stepped in, hit a huge shot.
Yeah.
That corner three was huge.
Hey, either Iowa or Nebraska are going to be in the Elite Eight.
Again, I think it's the old saying of it's hard to win it twice. And I don't think we ever thought that Florida's going to win it twice, but it showed earlier. I guess they got him out the way earlier than the
I think unless you're really dominant, like UConn when they repeated in 2024, they were really dominant.
Well, obviously, there's
you go back to Florida in 06 and 07 with Joakim Noah, like they were really dominant. At Duke in 91, 92, really dominant. Like this Florida team's really good, but they're not on that level. I think you need to be on that.
Also, they lost a lot of people last year.
To repeat. Even though it's a lot different now. You're losing a lot of players, bringing in a lot of new players. So it's even very different than it used to be.
You would think you're getting better with the new players, but you're losing a lot of people still. Even if you're winning, you want to go to other teams for NIL or whatever. You want to kind of spread your wings.
Yeah, it makes it tougher to repeat now when you bring back pretty much the same team.
Yeah, maybe that's
a dominant team.
Well, you look at that first man on the team, he probably wants to go to the NBA, and that seventh man that's really good for you probably is like, oh, maybe I want to spread my wing. I got my ring or I got my national championship, maybe I'm going to spread my wings on another team. So yeah, I mean it's hard now. It really is hard now, and I mean these teams like Florida, they have no excuse because they can build it right back up. But I mean, it is hard if you're losing the players. I got you the national championship. You really can't, you really can't replace, the star role players. You can't replace those guys. And even the Walter Claytons of the world, they go to the NBA. Like, not like, I mean, there's nothing bad about that. Walter Clayton when the NBA he's doing fine. He's making millions, but it's kind of like that nowadays. It's hard to do it. Because
it's a lot different now.
Yeah, and I guess there's no you could the counter argument could be like, yeah, I mean, there's no excuse. People like Florida should be able to just reproduce those type of players. It's hard to reproduce players, especially if they win. You can't really reproduce winners. That's the thing.
So then continue in the South region. I'll go to the bottom. Houston took care of Idaho. Texas A&M were St. Mary's. Illinois took care of.
They do it every year, St. Mary's, man.
What's that?
They do it every year. They rip your heart out.
Yeah, they get there, but they don't do much. And then North Carolina with a 19-point lead against VCU, and they lose the game in overtime. That's a terrible loss for North Carolina. VCU is good. Credit to them, but that's a terrible loss for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, that one was not good. That one, I had VCU over, but I didn't know it was gonna be like that. North Carolina.
I think that hot seat for Hubert Davis. I mean, I think now. His seat is getting warmer. He wasn't on the hot seat, so I'll re-say that. But I think now his seat gets warmer, and they don't get off to a good start next year, then he'll be on the hot seat. And you know, I, he's got to do better here. Like he's been the coach now for 5 years. They did go to the national championship game in his first year. They were an 8 seed. They went on a run, and they were up like 15 against Kansas. Like they could have won it all in 2022, but they didn't. And since then, I mean, they have not been nearly up to North Carolina standards. Last year, I mean, they got in the tournament. They probably shouldn't have been in. They went out in the first round. So again, it's 5 years into his tenure. I mean, this is North Carolina. So, again, I think his seat is warmer now. And if they don't get off to a good start next year, they struggle. He'll be on a hot seat. And
Yeah.
I think if they don't take a couple steps up next year, like they're a higher seed in the tournament. They, win at least a game. I know the tournament's single elimination, but they have to be significantly better next year. And I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what's going on in North Carolina. I don't know what they're thinking behind the
I mean, that's
scenes, the people in
disappointing to lose.
charge, but I really could see him being somebody in the hot seat next year.
Yeah. That was a disappointing loss there for North Carolina. It produced a really good game. I thought North Carolina was feeling it. I thought maybe I picked the wrong team and and everything like that. But VCU started to, and North Carolina started to crumble. It was
Yeah, I picked North Carolina. I gave them a game. Like, all right, they'll get a game. Wasn't surprised they lost, but the way
yeah,
they lost,
obviously.
I
They're
mean,
not
to
gonna
give
be
up a 19-point lead, it's just that's a terrible loss.
with things like that, yeah, you probably thought that they were gonna validate your point, and they just lost because first round you're really not surprised with those 6 rematches, but it's the way you lose, and to lose like that is just
Yeah.
it isn't good.
Um,
And also a VCU team went off and got smacked by Illinois, so
yeah, so to the second round in that region, I mean, Illinois is really good. They advance, take care of ECU, as you said. Houston crushed Texas A&M. Houston looks really good. I mean, they're just really good every year. Kelvin Sampson's excellent. Their defense isn't as good as some of these years past, but it's still really good. I mean, it's just a really good all-around team. They're going to be a major factor. This bracket opens up for them. They're the favorite now. Illinois is really good. That's going to be a really tough Sweet 16 matchup. But Houston's now the favorite in the South because Florida's out. Then switching over to the right side of the bracket, Arizona took care of Long Island. Nova, they were winning in this game. It was back and forth. They lose. Utah State advances. High Point. I mean, that was a great game. High Point
yeah.
advancing.
Wisconsin does the same thing every year. They just go in there, they lose.
Yeah, another Wisconsin first round loss, but High Point, that's a good team. They played Arkansas
Yeah.
really tough in the second round, so it's a great
Yeah.
showing for them. They could have been a Sweet 16 team. So they just keep building that program. They're a really good mid major that can compete with the high level
Yeah, Arkansas, I mean,
major conference
Gary
team.
Fakehoff had to put on the Superman suit to get them that win, and he did. I mean, that guy's great, but
Yeah,
just to show what High Point can do. I mean, for a mid-major team to have a guy like Darius Fakehoff put on a Superman cape and still only win by 6 is impressive. And that first win against Wisconsin, impressive too. Um, battled.
it's a really good showing for High Point. I'm sure they're really disappointed because they could have been in the Sweet 16, but
Yeah,
they showed a lot.
Fakehoff's too good,
Really
man.
good mid-major
Yeah.
program. I bet they'll keep building it with their coach and just the way they do things. They have a legit program now. You keep going. Hey, Texas took care of BYU. Texas was in control of that game, won by 8, but they were in control
Yeah.
basically the whole game. They get to the Sweet 16. They beat Gonzaga. Not surprised there. Gonzaga overseeded. They're not a 3 seed. I think that
Yeah.
was just the name Gonzaga. I mean, amazing program they have going to the tournament now 27 years in a row. But Texas looked like the better team. So Texas now, Sweet 16, even Texas, like they underachieved in the regular season, but they're showing what they could do now. They're not a Cinderella, they're an 11, but they no
It's
way can be
Texas,
considered a
though. It's
Cinderella.
Texas.
There's no
The
Cinderella
name.
in the Sweet 16.
Well, I think the
Um,
name of Texas is like, it's 11 seed, but the name Texas, I know it's like kind of like not a great thing to say, but the name Texas is just makes it
Yeah, it's a
Like,
big time program, big time
yeah,
school, big
even
time
though 11
athletics.
seed, I mean, the 21-14 is not like as good as like you would think, but
Well, they
you know,
underachieved in the regular season.
yeah,
They didn't live
they
up
have
to talent,
guys
but
and
Sean Miller's a very good coach, and he's had a lot of tournament success. Hasn't been to a Final Four, but he's been to a bunch of Sweet 16s. He's been to a few Elite Eights. So again, Texas is legit. Really tough matchup now coming up against Purdue. But again, Texas is not a Cinderella. Iowa, even, that's not a Cinderella. Major upset against Florida. You have no Cinderella in the Sweet 16, which is maybe another topic we could touch on later. You also had Miami over Missouri, Purdue over Queens. Miami gave Purdue a good game, but
yeah.
Purdue just too tough. Matt Painter does an excellent job with Purdue. So any thoughts on those games? Any thoughts on Miami? Any thoughts on
Yeah,
Purdue?
Miami fought really well. It's just Purdue and Braden Smith. Braden Smith is, I think, one of the players in country, or one of that I would just give the ball to and say make a play. Obviously, you have players like Darius Acuff who could do that, but he makes plays for his other teammates, which makes Purdue run, which makes Purdue different because they really run a very good scheme over there. Matt Painter's doing a very good job. I know they had years where they'd E and that stuff, but now they run a very good, well run. Not like the Edie teams were great. I mean, it was great to have him and have that team around Edie, but now they can really have Braden Smith at the helm, and they run a very good team, and they can close out teams. Miami was playing really good basketball, but um, Purdue was able to close them out, and they have one of the best point guards in the country. I think. Is that crazy to say?
Yeah,
One of
Miami had a good year. I mean, they improved a lot from the year before, but they had a rough year last year. But yeah, Miami, look, good showing against Purdue. They were in that game, but Purdue ultimately goes on. So then the Midwest, I mean, Michigan's a wagon. They easily get to the Sweet 16. You mentioned St. Louis. They took care of Georgia, just crushed them. You don't usually see that in an 8-9 game. Texas Tech over Akron, who was a team that, a lot of people
Yeah,
were picking, but
Texas
Texas
Tech,
Tech.
I feel like it's always like a good enough. I know they lost by freaking 35, but I think Texas Tech is not a team to get like humiliated like that. Not like humiliated, but not going to lose to a 12 seed. They're a good enough I would say, organization program to not lose like that. But they did lose to Alabama. But Alabama
Yeah,
is
Bama with their
Alabama.
offense, I mean, they could really score. I think they're going to meet their match against Michigan. Surprising that they blew out Texas Tech, but hey, when Bama gets going with their shooting, with their offense, they're really good.
Yeah,
Tennessee's impressive. Took care of Miami, Ohio. Virginia struggled with Wright State a bit. Tennessee, Virginia was a close game throughout, but Tennessee's tough. Rick Barnes is one of the best coaches in the
yeah,
nation.
yeah,
So Tennessee
yeah.
goes to Sweet 16, and then Iowa State lost their best guy. I forget his name, but they did a
Jefferson.
good job to take care of Kentucky. Early
Yeah,
in the game, Kentucky got out front, but then Iowa State took control of the game. So that's going to be interesting. Iowa State, Tennessee.
yeah.
With Iowa State, is I forget the guy's name, but is he out for the Sweet 16?
So let me figure out. His name is just Joshua Jefferson. I think it's something with the ankle injury update. Progressing from ankle injury. Um, Fans giving hope he might play versus Tennessee. Hopes to return. I think if he's ready enough, he'll play. So I would assume he's going to play. If his ankle's progressing, I think he
Yeah.
gives it a go. I mean, it's the Sweet 16. So I would say, I mean, I'm not a doctor. He's questionable. Let's say that.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
what it
would
sounds
say
like
that if
from
his
what
ankle's
I'm reading.
progressing, then I would say he gives it a go.
So then let's go through the Sweet 16. Let's break it down a bit, give our picks. We could give Elite Eight picks too if we want. If we want to predict our Final Four, we want to change it. I had Florida; they're out.
Yeah,
But then
I'm
let's
gonna
stay with
change
the
my final.
Midwest and then work around. So Midwest, West. We'll go Midwest, West, and then South. We'll save the East for last. So then again, to me, Bama is going to get bounced here by Michigan. Michigan's just really good. Michigan all
Yeah,
around. Bama's an offensive team, but I think now Michigan with their ability to defend, their ability to do everything, they're just a better overall team. So I'll take them. What do you think there with that game, Jack?
Alabama's. I mean, Alabama took care of Hofstra by 20, then took care of Texas Tech by 35. I mean, just running to Michigan after that. I mean, you could say that about a lot of teams, but running to Michigan after that, Michigan. I mean, they were really poised in that St. Louis game. I mean, St. Louis hit some shots. I know they won by 23 again. Maybe like Jack, oh, they won by 23. St. Louis at times was hitting them threes, getting in within like 9 or 8. But Michigan showed in that game that they're a real 1 seed because they really separated from a team like that's a 9 seed. They showed the difference between a 1 and a 9. And Alabama, great win against Texas Tech, but I think that great offense then gets shut down, and it gets shut down here in Michigan.
So then Tennessee, Iowa State. I mean, I had Iowa State going to the Elite Eight, but with the uncertainty with Jefferson and the way Tennessee has looked in this tournament and with Rick Barnes, I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I think this is one where could definitely see the lower seed winning. Again, the injury to Jefferson, so I'll go with Tennessee in a close game.
Yeah, Tennessee, it's 39-60 in favor of Iowa State. It's the money line is plus 160 for Tennessee. It's going to be a close game. It'll be a really good one. I would also agree with you. I just think that Tennessee also has some guys as well. They ran you could say they ran a very good storm against UVA without Jefferson or without. Well, they ran a good storm against Kentucky without Jefferson, and Kentucky's a decent team. Ran a good storm against them, and what they could do with him back. I mean, but that's like trying to pull that. So I think Tennessee for Rick Barnes. I'm gonna go with the guaranteed thing here for to make the pick today. Tennessee under Rick Barnes. And also, I mean, Virginia. That's a decent win. That's a good win too. I think they're going in off of some good wins. I mean, yes, they're 6 seed. It's Miami, Ohio, whatever win, but Virginia's a good win there. And I think they're going in with some good wins. They're not going in there like, whoa, here's Iowa State. Haven't played a team like that before. Tournament. So I would say that makes perfect sense for them to beat them because they've played all these teams, especially Virginia. They played Virginia, which is a good indicator that they know they know who they're playing against. And yes, Iowa State's better than Virginia, but it shows they haven't just played, in Alabama's case, Hofstra and Texas Tech. Like they played good programs and they played a good program in Virginia. So I think Tennessee and also the coach really well, Rick Barnes. I'll bet on him over Iowa State.
So then the West region, Purdue, Texas. I think this is where Texas run in. I just think Purdue's better. Your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, Purdue. I think I'm gonna go with them. Texas is really good, but I think that Purdue has just a bunch of guys, man. It's hard to really game plan against a team like Purdue. Their roster's really good, top to bottom. Not top to. They got Braden Smith, they got Trey Confer-Ren, Fletcher Lawyer, CJ. Like they got guys that can play. I mean, Texas has their guys, but and they also have the guard again, Braden Smith. He'll slow everything down. He's a vet. If you go college terms, it's crazy we're saying that now, but yeah, he'll be able to calm stuff down. Get him into their sets. I don't think that Texas will really, bother them that much. So I think they're a perfect team to move on here.
And then Arizona, Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas is an intriguing team
Yeah,
to win, but I just think Arizona's better. Acuff, I mean, he's outstanding. Like, could he carry Arkansas in the game? Maybe, but Arizona is just a better team, so I'm going to go with them.
I would go with them too. Also, because Arkansas almost lost the High Point. I mean, almost losing. Yes, it's a new game now.
I wouldn't look much into that though, because High Point's legitimate. I expected that to be.
No, I'm just saying. Let's compare our High Point to Arizona right now. I mean, it's just, I think that's also something too. But yeah, I mean, High Point's legit. They won by 6, got out there, and Darius Akov took them to the win. I think this is a very good game. But I'm gonna go Arizona here. I don't think they lose. Um, you know, yes, Akov could have his moments, but look, I don't think the rest of the team is really enough to show up against this Arizona squad.
So then in the South region, Iowa and Nebraska. I just want to look up these spreads, and Nebraska's a 1.5 favorite. So I feel like Iowa's a team that could keep this rolling. You got a Big Ten matchup. They're very familiar with one another. Actually, I'd love to look this up and see what the results were of them in the regular season. I'll try to pull that up. But Iowa have to beat in Florida. Um, I feel like they're a team that could keep this going. They're not going to keep going to the Final Four, in my opinion, but I think they got one more in them. I'm going to go with Iowa over Nebraska in a really close game. What say you, Jack?
I'm gonna disagree.
Go right
Now,
ahead.
I I think that
I get
Price
plenty
Sanford.
wrong, so it's good to disagree with
No,
you.
I think Price Sanford's, and I think that they are also battle tested. I think that also Iowa's too, but I think that kind of cancels itself out. And I think that Nebraska has they shoot the ball very well, and I think Iowa does too. But I think that Price Sanford's a guy that you can run off ball, have the ball in his hands. He's a big time player. I think that they have Iowa's big time players in Sturts and whatever. But man, I think
Look,
I'm
let
gonna
me just
go.
interject for a moment. I want to give the results of the Nebraska Iowa matchups for the regular season. They played twice. February 17th at Iowa. Iowa won 57-52. March 8th, last game of the regular season, at Nebraska. Nebraska won 84-75. So the home team won both games. I don't know how much you could take from that, but pretty much even in those matchups. They split them. Scores were similar. So this lines up to be a really close game. I mean, I kind of, I guess Nebraska is a slight favorite, but it's almost a 50-50 game.
Yeah, I think it was almost a 50-50 game. I think that game against yeah, I mean they beat Florida, they beat yeah, I think that Iowa's had a very tough path to get here. Um I, I just think that Nebraska's shooting is a lot and I just think Nebraska's shooting is a lot and I think they could shoot themselves into the I mean they also have a good defense to beat Vanderbilt. The defense was solid. 47% from 3. And then against Troy, they light up Troy. Yeah, I just think that the shooting here for Nebraska is going to get them out of this game. I think that Iowa has a very good team, but I like the squad that Nebraska has, and I think I think that Iowa's run is great, but I think this being a 50-50 game and also them not being the underdogs, them being the underdogs, but not by that much. I think Nebraska gets this win.
So then Illinois, Houston, man, I mean, this is a great matchup. I mean, this could be an Elite Eight matchup, a Final Four type matchup. I mean, this could be
Yeah.
a great game, a classic game. I'm just looking at the matchups in the Sweet 16 before I make this comment, but I looking at them like I think this is the best matchup of the Sweet 16. I'm looking at Michigan State, UConn. Like I think Illinois, Houston is a better matchup than that one. So here's what the difference is going to be. I'm going to say Kelvin Kelvin Sampson, and that program and what they do, and then the South Regional is in Houston. I heard yesterday that
Yeah.
the arena there in Houston is like 2 or 3 miles from the University of Houston campus. So I was struggling. I was struggling with this matchup, because it's outside of the location. I think it's probably a 50-50 matchup, but then bringing in to the equation where it is, which is a factor, like I'm using that as the tiebreaker. because Illinois is really, really good. What's the guy's name? What's their
Gene Wagler.
yeah, whatever. Yeah, it starts with Wadler, whatever it is. With Brad Underwood as their coach. I mean, they're a big time program. They're there year in and year out. So again, I mean, this one could go either way, but I'm gonna go with Houston here. I'm gonna go with Houston just all around what they do. Again, Kelvin Sampson, what he does, and in the game being in Houston.
Yeah, Kelvin Sampson gets it done. That's the thing here. I think the biggest thing. Illinois is a good team, but I think that Houston has the guys to get it done, and they have some guys back from last year that have got it done. So, yeah, I think that they're prime for the Elite Eight.
So then the East region.
Yep.
Let's start with Michigan State, UConn. I picked Michigan State before the tournament. This is a tough one. I don't think UConn is by any means an elite team. We're not talking about UConn from 2024. I think because the Big Ten is significantly better than in the Big East this year, Michigan State's more battle tested. Hurley's a great coach, but Izzo has been doing this for a long, long time. It's a really tough game to pick. UConn's a 1.5 favorite. Games in D.C. It's closer to UConn than Michigan State. But Michigan State will have their fans. There'll probably be more UConn fans, but there'll be a lot of Michigan State fans here. I mean, all four of the teams in this regional will have a good representation there. So I'm going to go with Michigan State. I don't feel great about the pick. I think it's one of those games that's another pretty much toss-up, but I'm going to go with Michigan State over UConn.
I want to go UConn over Michigan. I think that. I mean, they got the matchup. I just think that this is another time for Dan Hurley to get like he's gotten over it, of course, winning the national championship. But I think he gets it done over Izzo. I just think that the team is really good, and they've played. UConn has played UCLA, got them out. I mean, Michigan State has a hard road here too, but I think UConn has just a bunch of guards that are really good, and that big down low Terrace Reed, he does his work, and yes, Michigan State has their center on Carson Cooper, but man, I think it's gonna be hard because that big for Terrace Reed is gonna be a lot to handle for Michigan State. I think Izzo is gonna figure out a way to do it, but I think UConn's got a lot of guards here, and I think that that's gonna do it for them, and I think they're gonna get past it. I think that I see a point where anybody can pick Michigan State. It's a toss up here.
It's a really tough game to pick. I mean, it pretty much is a toss up. Again, UConn's favored by 1.5. Maybe this is unfair, but the Big East tournament final sticks in my mind. I mean, St. John's just crushed UConn. Now, UConn shot terribly that night, so that was a significant factor. I was at the game. That doesn't matter. But, anyway, like I was watching the game. I was there. I was, really invested in it. And it just sticks in my mind how poorly UConn played that night. And then, again, like they shot really poorly. But again, it's a tough game, but I just go with Michigan State, and they're more battle tested. They played in a much better conference this year. 25-7, UConn's 29-5. Izzo, Hurley. I mean, you probably could just flip a coin.
Yeah.
But I'm just going with the Spartans here.
Okay, so this one is a good one. Duke St. John's. I don't know if you want to introduce it, but Duke St. John's. Really good.
It's a 6.5 point spread. I'd like St. John's to cover. I mean, look, you got Pitino coaching them. He's as good as it gets. He's as good as it gets pretty much all time.
They have the coaching matchup.
Yeah, I mean, look, St. John's has the coaching edge. No disrespect to Shire. He's a very good young coach. Just St. John's, they're shooting. Some of the concerns with their guard play, and usually guard play wins in the tournament, particularly as you go deeper in the
Yeah, deeper in
tournament.
the tournament. That's why I say about Purdue and stuff like that, and also Michigan State with Jeremy Fierce, and also debate about UConn with their guard play. Yes, guard play does matter here. I mean,
And I think
also Duke with their guard play too. I mean, Isaiah Evans is very nice, and also Cameron Boozer can play like a guard up top, but very versatile player.
I just think Duke is an all around better team. Nobody would dispute that. St. John's is good enough where they could be really competitive in the game, and they're good enough to win. Again, I'll take Duke's guard play over St. John's. I think Duke defensively will figure it out and find a way to not let Zuby Ejiofor have an all time game. I don't think they're going to contain him. Duke got scared in the first round. I don't know how much that has to do with it, but I just think Duke has a heightened awareness because of that first round. I mean, the second round they were in a close game with TCU, but then they turned it up and wound up dominating most of the second half and winning by 23. Duke is just a bit better. I don't think Duke's going to have a letdown game. Duke will get to the foul line. We talk about the whistle being with Duke. It usually is. Duke's going to make their free throws. So it's Duke's free throw shooting, the guard play. St. John's, I just don't trust their shooting. I'm going to give St. John's enough credit here where I say they cover. They lose the game by 5-6, so they just cover. But I think Duke is going to win this one.
I think Duke's going to win this one. I think it comes down to shooting for St. John's. I think there's a team that could pick off Duke, but I just don't think St. John's team. Not saying that St. John's is not good. I mean, they're good, they're great, but I just don't think they're a team that could. I think a team that picks off Duke shoots the heck out of the ball and just comes down shot. Like I think that St. John's will do enough to stay in that game to beat them. I just don't think you need to beat Duke with like amazing. Yes, obviously you need amazing defense to take Duke out, but that's like the thing they really heavy put their hat on. Yes, that's great, and having great defense is great, but I just think when it comes down to it, yes, the defense is great, but I think Duke will get its buckets, and it's all about can you shoot and can you come out there and hit those threes and put some pressure on Shire and his squad making those threes. And yes, can Hopkins come out there, step in and have another performance, step into threes confidently and hit some threes? Yes, he can. And maybe that's a big thing that puts some shock in the Shire, but I think that Duke wins because I don't think that this is a team that could really pick off Duke. And I don't think they match up well into picking them off.
I'm with you.
It's a great matchup. It's a great matchup, but I just don't think they match up well. I think they match up well enough to compete with them and to be it like must see TV. I think they compete it well enough for that. I just don't think they compete well enough to win and to shock them. I think you're gonna have to shock Duke to win, and not making it say that Duke's like in inevitable winners, but I think you're gonna have to shock them. To beat them.
Jack. Real quickly, let's give our final 4 picks from each region. So we made our final 4 picks before the tournament. So we'll stick with the East. Who do you have? So you have Duke versus UConn in the lead.
I got UConn in the Final Four.
Okay, I have Michigan State over Duke in the South. We both agree on Houston. You have Houston versus Nebraska. I have Houston versus Iowa. I got Houston to the Final Four.
I got a rematch. Yeah, I got Houston too. I think that Nebraska shooting kind of, I think you could say that, maybe Nebraska just starts shooting crazy, but I think Houston really can take care of that. The shooting. I know it's hard for me to really talk about it because you have the different squad, but I'm gonna think that Nebraska, Houston. I'm gonna say that Nebraska has great shooting, but I think that's the time. I think Kelvin Sampson really figures that out. I think coaches like that will really sit there and understand. Okay, what's Nebraska doing well after all this tape? I think they'll be able to figure it out. Not. I think Nebraska will get it. I think Nebraska will get it. His. I think Nebraska will get theirs, but at the end of the day, Houston's gonna figure it out.
So then the West region, we both have Arizona versus Purdue in the regional final. You know what? I'm gonna switch my pick here. I'm really impressed with Purdue. They had some tournament struggles a few years ago. They got bounced as a 1 seed by FDU. So I was always a bit hesitant on Purdue in the
Yeah, me
tournament,
too.
but Painter's had a lot of success. I mean, they've been to Sweet 16s. They've been to Elite Eights. They got to the national championship game 2 years ago. I thought that was a big hurdle for their program with Edey, lost to UConn. But like Purdue, to me, like they're near the top of college basketball in terms of programs. They're at the top of the top, but like they're that next tier, really good program. Even an elite program. Like there's the elite of the elite, and then there's the elite. That's Purdue. I'm going with Purdue.
Yeah,
I just look. Zone is really good. This will be a phenomenal regional final, but I'm going to switch my pick in the West and go with Purdue.
I think Zona has guys, and Purdue has guys, and I think that's big. I think that Fletcher Laura comes out there, and hits some threes, and shocks Arizona, and then I think they handle it from there. I think they down in front. I think that they have the guard play to kind of.
Well, the guard play, exactly. What's the guy, Braden Smith?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Braden, right there, Braden Smith. I mean, the guard play, that's what historically wins in the tournament, and
Well, I think if
particularly
you
as you
get
get
out
deeper
ahead,
in the tournament. So, I mean, right there, I think is a legitimate reason to take Purdue
well, I
over
think
Arizona. I don't think it's a big upset either. I think it's a very mild upset. But Purdue looks really good. I think they're going to be in Indianapolis for the Final Four. And then the Midwest region, we both have Michigan and Tennessee. Michigan's going to the Final Four.
yeah,
Michigan, I think, is the best team in the country.
yeah,
They've been the best team in the country for most of the year. I know it's debatable. I think Michigan's the best team. I didn't pick them to win the national championship, but I think Michigan is going to the Final Four. What say you?
yeah. I think Michigan's going to the Final Four. Yeah, they're really good, and they would play against. We say they play against Tennessee. Yeah, I think Rick Barnes is a great squad, but I think this is where it ends. I mean, I don't think Michigan is going to get picked off by a team like Tennessee. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but let's be honest. Now 6 seed's kind of crazy, but I mean, it isn't crazy, obviously. I mean, Tennessee, they have Rick Barnes and the squad, but I don't think Michigan gets picked off here. They have a good enough squad to get past that. I mean, and not good enough. They have a great squad, and that's why they get past Tennessee.
Yeah, I picked Arizona to win the national championship, but I see, like, you watch the tournament unfold. I think you could change your mind on things. Like I picked Arizona over Michigan. Like I was torn on that in the Final Four. So I mean, I'm kind of going against what I picked to start the tournament, but then you watch the tournament, and I changed my mind about Purdue versus Zona. I
Just give me
like
a second.
Purdue, and then I changed hard even though I got bounced. Duke, but I think Michigan's the best team. So I got them going to the Final Four. So we both agree Michigan, Purdue. We both agree on Houston, and then you got UConn, and I got Michigan State.
Okay, give me one sec. So we got our Final Four set it up, and we'll get to the playoff. We'll get not playoff rate. We'll get to the MLB predictions. Next podcast, and I mean it's a long season, so we can get to it next podcast. Let's have a great day. Peace out, and let's go Knicks.